All right, we're going to do a performance comparison between a base texture, a parallax, and tessellation. Now this test is being performed on the Unreal Engine 4.25, and let's go ahead and get started. Now let's start with the base texture. This is two textures, just two pictures that are put on a square block, and it's a base and a normal map. And as you can see, that for the blocks, it doesn't look like the bricks are actually sticking up very much, like three-dimensional. It just looks kind of flat. If you look at the sphere, it looks a little better, but about the same. So let's go ahead and start, and we'll look at the performance on the base texture and see what we got here. And how we're going to do that is all these spheres right here. There's 1,000 spheres, and this is a real-world test. If you look at the top right-hand corner, you'll see the frames per second, so each frame. So let's take a look. We're getting 70, almost 80 frames per second. And we're going to kind of get them all into view here. So it's about 85, 89, depending kind of where you look, but up in the 80s. So it's over 80. So pretty good there. And that's just for the base texture. Now let's move up to this is the parallax. And if you look at it, you can see, and this is on a flat surface, I think it looks really good. You can see the bricks actually look like they're sticking up, like three-dimensional. And again, if we look at wire mode and get back a little bit, you'll see that that's just a flat surface. And that's what you would call like an optical illusion is how it works. Some people say one of the best ways to get a really good, cheap way to get a three-dimensional look is make the box itself, that flat box, make it the actual static mesh, make the brick stick up in the static mesh, and then put your texture over that. So that's another way that you could do it. Now if we go over here and look, usually if it's a sphere or curved, these types of textures look so much better, and you can see that kind of looks like the bricks are coming up out of the sphere. And again, that's just a solid sphere. There's no bricks. It's an optical illusion, kind of like what a normal map does. So this is the parallel map, parallax, and let's go ahead and test the performance on these spheres the same way. We'll get about the same distance. So they're looking at almost 70. So we're getting almost 80. Let's see here. Yeah, almost 70. Just almost there, not quite. So we're looking at least a 10 frame drop just for using this parallax material. So you got a 10 frame drop. So pretty significant, I would say, but it does look good. And if you're far back, you really can't tell. It's only when you start getting up close you can see the parallax at work, which looks, like I said, looks really good. So you want to save that for anything up close. Now the third thing is called tessellation, and it's really a fascinating material. And this shader, you can see, can actually changes the static mesh. So it looks like there's little notches in the static mesh, and there aren't on the actual static mesh. If we go back into wire mode, it's the exact same static mesh as over there, but the shader itself actually changes the static mesh, which is amazing, which doesn't look too bad, but you can see there's a lot more triangles that you're going to have to process over here. Look at the sphere, and look at this. So huge difference on the sphere, and you'll see why in a minute. And you can see that even the basic cube has been transformed when you put the material on it, the tessellation. So if you look at when you use tessellation on a flat surface, a lot of times it doesn't look that great. If you can see it here, it looks kind of flat. And even on this, but if you put it on a sphere or any kind of curved surface like a boulder or something like that, it looks really good. You can see how it stands out, the tessellation. But if you're using it, you might not want to use it on a flat surface. But let's look at the performance difference and see how it stands up compared to the basic and the parallax. So we'll try to get about the same distance. So now we're in the 50s, 55. So yeah, from the normal for 55 from 80. So you're talking about a huge drop there. Now, what's interesting is if this same test was done with instead of these spheres, with this tessellation with the boxes, and the it was almost the same as the base. It was almost the same as the base because you don't get the tessellation on a flat surface. So you got to take that in consideration too. You know, are you doing a round surface? If you are, it's going to look nice, but it's going to really bring down your frame rate. You know, I would even dare to say it'd be very rare to be using any tessellation unless you really want that bad performance hit. And as you can see, it's really bad. Parallax is not too bad. You're dropping about 10 frames. Looks really good. I don't know if it's worth it. It does look good though. But is it worth it? Let's get back and kind of zoom around here. Here's the 75, 80. Let's go back over here. 65 and then 30. Now here's the, and that's about this. That's a base. This has no texture on it. It's just a material with a white color, no textures or anything. I mean, as simple as you can get. And that's about the same. That's 1,000 spheres also. That's about the same as the texture one. So if we get back 70, 75, 76 frames per second. You got to get a little closer here. Yeah, about the same thing. So that's interesting too. The base texture, just two textures, is about the same frame rate as and just a white color. So there it is. So if you're going to use something, if you want to do some bump mapping, get something that looks really pretty, Parallax would be the best way to go. Tessellation is really pretty amazing, but way too expensive, I would say. And the Parallax, if you look at this looks just about as good, I would say. I can't really see a difference, but you can definitely see the difference in a normal map. Just a base texture definitely doesn't look as good at all. But if you're from a distance, you're really can't tell too much. But definitely when you get closer. So there it is. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'd love to hear them. These materials are fascinating and very complex, and you just have to weigh the looks versus performance, and put it together. And a good way that you could do it too is if you have a scene set up, you could just change the materials to base and check out your frame rate. And then you could, because it's easy just to put the different material on there and put the Parallax on there, and then just see, how much of a difference. I mean, if you put the Parallax on there and you're 20 frames per second, then you'd have to, that's not going to work, or you'll just have to put it in just a lot fewer places. All right, thanks again for watching. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below, and I'd love to hear from you. All right, have a great day. Thanks for watching.